Tennessee Titans versus Indianapolis Colts reaction video. Look, this Titans versus Colts game, one of my favorite of the week, if not my favorite of the week. I had them on my primary TV in the early games because this is such a huge matchup for the AFC South. Now, coming into this game, I did, full disclosure, Titans fans, you can let me have it, comment below. I did pick the Indianapolis Colts to cover this spread because I like the way that the Colts have been playing recently, and we saw this, this matchup. The Colts won on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Now, Titans defense, hello, Tennessee Titans defense, where have you been all season? Really great game. Now, it doesn't help the Colts that they didn't have Jonathan Taylor available to go this game. I really think missing their most physical running back, they really needed him. But what have I been saying all year, right? The Indianapolis Colts are an elite defensive unit, especially against the run, and that was my key question for the Tennessee Titans coming into this game. I thought that although nobody ever stops Derrick Henry, I thought they might be able to neutralize him a little bit. Well, Derrick Henry, what does he do? He gives you 3 touchdowns in the first half. Over the course of the game, 27 carries, 178 for 6.6 yards per carry against, I think, the best rushing defense in the league this year. Wow. Really, really well done, Tennessee. And then Ryan Tannehill, by the way, one of those 3 rushing touchdowns, my fantasy lineup, I had Ryan Tannehill in the game. I could have really used that extra half inch that would have made that first touchdown a receiving touchdown for Derrick Henry, but it is what it is. Ryan Tannehill gives you 13 to 22. 221 yards and 1 touchdown. It's this classic Tennessee Titans era Ryan Tannehill game where he just, when teams just try to run or stop the run or whatever, and they stack the box, Ryan Tannehill will carve you up. Well, today the Indianapolis Colts got carved up by the run game, and Tannehill just has to throw 22 times, completes 13 receptions, 221 yards, one of them on a huge one to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown goes 4 catches, 98 yards, 1 touchdown, the bulk of them on that long touchdown. I think it was like 59 yards or something. Derrick Henry, like I said, gives you this 27 carries. He was actually a little bit more involved in the receiving game than I am used to seeing him. 4 targets, 2 receptions, 7 yards, and one of those, those rushing touchdowns was effectively a receiving touchdown. It was kind of like a wheel route, but Tannehill just threw it behind him instead of in front of him, and there you go. But Derrick Henry would have given you a receiving touchdown, but it just ended up being called a rushing touchdown. Corey Davis, 3 catches, 70 yards, a huge catch. I think it was at the end of the first half, if I'm not mistaken. Huge catch down inside the 5-yard line. A.J. Brown, 4 receptions. I already mentioned that, 98 yards. Swaim shows up. 3 catches, 30 yards. Anthony Ferkser had a target. Jeremy McNichols had a target. But really, it was the Colts running game was it. If I'm looking at the Indianapolis Colts stat line, Phillip Rivers, 24-42, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not awful. Then you add in Jacoby Brissett, right? 4 carries, 3 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Jacoby Brissett. So he really gave you the most physicality there. But Nyheim Hines, 10 carries, 29 yards. Jordan Wilkins, 6 carries, 22 yards. Not getting it done. It ended up being a passing day, but, it is what it is. T.Y. Hilton gets you a touchdown, 4 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Trey Burton gets in. Trey Burton was having a great first half, disappeared in the second half. Credit the Tennessee Titans for adjusting. Jordan Wilkins adds another 3 catches. Michael Pittman, who I've been talking up, 9 targets, but only 2 receptions for 28 yards. They were ready for him this week. Really well done. Really well done, Tennessee Titans. I give the Titans all credit. Yes, it would have been nice, Indianapolis Colts and Colts fans, if you had Jonathan Taylor. But look, even if Jonathan Taylor was playing, the Tennessee Titans were winning this game. They played their best game of the year, bar none. I think they played a nice game against the Buffalo Bills earlier this year, but the Tennessee Titans played their best game of the year. Indianapolis Colts, lick your wounds, move on. It would have been nice if you're a Colts fan. Had they won that game, they would have been up 2-0 in the head-to-head. They effectively would have won the division if they had improved to 8-3 with a 2 head-to-head. 2-0 head-to-head advantage over the Tennessee Titans. But now that head-to-head advantage is neutralized, so the tiebreaker would go to division record. But more importantly, Tennessee takes a commanding 8-3 record, a 1-game lead with only, 5 games to play now. Let me look at the schedules to end the year. I'm going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. Let's see here. The Colts play against the Texans. Now, that's not the gimme it was in the first few weeks of the season. The Texans are playing better football after moving on from their coach, Bill O'Brien, onto Romeo Crennel. That's not a gimme. They're on the road against Houston. Then they play the Raiders. That's a huge game, especially if you're talking about wild card at this point. The Raiders lost this week, a game that was winnable for them, so that helps the Colts. But that's a game that's going to have massive playoff implications when it comes to wild card. Then they play the Texans again. So you got 2 games again. two division opponents that are within 2 weeks of each other. That kind of sucks, by the way, because you can almost chalk that up to a 1-1. You can almost chalk that up to a draw. Whereas when the Texans were reeling early in the year, it would have been better for the Colts schedule wise to play them in the first few weeks in that first quarter of the season. Then the Colts play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game they should win. So look at that. There's really, in my opinion, the two quote-unquote gimmies are against the Texans. Those aren't gimmies. And especially when you play them 2 out of 3 weeks. Really, I mean, in a division matchup, you can probably chalk that up to a draw. That's a 1-1. You look at the Steelers and the Raiders, you got to win one of those. You'll probably win the Raiders game, I think. I like the matchup for the Colts there. That gives them a 2-1. The Steelers, at that point in the season, we'll see where it's at, but let's call that 2-2. Let's say they finish the year 3-2. They go 10-6. Is that enough to get them in the playoffs? I believe it is. And I like the Colts. I mean, it really wouldn't shock me to see them go 4-1 to end the year. Now, let's look at the Tennessee Titans schedule because I haven't really examined the back part of their schedule yet. They play the Cleveland Browns next week. I think the Tennessee Titans win that game. I don't like the way the Cleveland Browns offense is working now that Odell Beckham is out and they have to throw a little bit more. So we'll see. But I think the Tennessee Titans will be able to outscore the Cleveland Browns. Let's call that 1-0. They should be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's 2-0. Then they play the Lions, who are going to be on a new coaching staff. I don't love playing, replacement coaches. The whole team, basically the entire Detroit Lions, are auditioning for the next coaching staff, trying to keep their job. But let's give them the win. Let's call them 3-0. They play the Green Bay Packers. Let's give them a loss there and say they're 3-1. Then they play the Texans at the end of the year. I believe they can win that. I think the Tennessee Titans will finish 4-1. Worst case for the Titans, assuming everybody's healthy, is 3-2. So I think worst case for the Titans at this point is 11-5. I think best case, you're looking at 12-4. Tennessee Titans, I do believe now will win the division, especially after looking at the stat sheet. So there you go. Great game. The Colts, this is out there. I wouldn't say it was a winnable game. I don't think they should have won it, but it was certainly a game that they could compete for and really take a commanding lead in that division. However, it didn't get it done. Credit the Tennessee Titans who earned this victory. I don't think the Indianapolis Colts gave it away by any means. We'll see what happens moving forward in the season. We're going to be doing a little bit more in terms of reaction videos, so please watch those. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tennessee Titans fans, Indianapolis Colts fans, comment below. Tell me what you saw. Tell me how you think each team will get better, and tell me why your team is going to be the better Super Bowl contender. I'd love to hear it. We'll catch you again soon. Thanks, everyone.